Hey, welcome to Culture Shop. So this week's a very simple idea. This is one that I've been working on quite a lot this week with one of my clients, trying to help them unravel this conundrum, this thing that they haven't been able to understand inside their business. And the symptom, very simply, is that people aren't getting along terribly well, that there is a perception that management is devious, that it doesn't mean what it says, that it doesn't always say what it means, there's a lack of transparency, all of this kind of thing. And you may have observed that sort of thing as well. I mean, unfortunately, it's complex to manage groups of human beings. That's why culture is difficult, right? That's why we really need to work at this. But the thing is, and this may ring true for you as well, this may sound eerily familiar, the thing that was particularly baffling them was that they were really trying hard to do the opposite. So they were doing all sorts of things for their people, trying all sorts of nice things to see if they could sort of win over hearts and minds a little bit. And those sorts of things typically involved actions, iterations, things like, for example, providing a barbecue for non-South Africans on a Friday and getting people together, let them have a few drinks, putting a bit of meat on the braai, having a bit of a conversation, or doing one of my suggestions is a TED Talk drive-through on a Tuesday lunchtime where you put on a TED Talk, you have another 40 minutes to discuss a topic that might be of interest or whatever, just as a means of getting people involved. Provide popcorn and slush puppies, let people have a bit of fun, but get some conversation going as well and let people sort of voice their opinions. They were doing all of these sorts of things. But the problem with it is they weren't doing them consistently. And when we began to, when I realized that, when we hit upon that point, that's when it all suddenly started to fall into place for me. Because I've seen this before. In fact, this very phenomenon was one of the three that I identified right at the beginning of my book, How to Build a Happy Sandpit, a few years ago. Because it was one of the things that set me on the path to this interest in organizational culture and what it is that drives employees. And the phenomenon, very simply, as I understood it, was that you can give things, but you can't take them away. So you need to be really, really, really careful about what you give. So you probably want to be like a really great employee. You want to be a really great manager, a really great boss. You want to do really great things for your people. And so you might go and do some really fun and interesting things because you're trying to bring a bit of excitement into it. You're trying to show a little bit of appreciation or whatever. The problem is, especially if you're trying to show appreciation, the moment you stop doing that, the understanding people have is that you don't appreciate them anymore. In fact, the impact of stopping is far worse than any impact of not starting at all. And I saw this a few years back in an organization that I ran where we literally used to have something as simple as pizzas on a Monday or a Tuesday. I don't remember what day it was. But around about noon, these pizzas would arrive in the office as if by magic. They would just float through the door, and there was something for everybody. There was some spicy, some not, some meat, some vegetarian, etc. It was this magical thing that used to happen, at least as far as employees were concerned. But, of course, what nobody really observed was behind the scenes, somebody, the receptionist in this case, used to, around 11:30, pick up the phone and give a credit card number, and actually place an order. Nobody sees that. They just see the pizzas arriving, and they go, oh, it's pizza time, fantastic. Anyway, there was a day when the receptionist wasn't there, and at noon the pizzas didn't arrive. And by 1 o'clock, people were really grumbling. They were really unhappy, and I could see. I mean, it was amazing to feel the sea change in the organization, in the office space. I couldn't get over it, and I knew something was up, but I didn't know what because I was busy. So I called everybody together and I said, guys, what's going on? What's happened? Why is everybody so grumpy? And what I got nearly floored me. I was told, you know something? We always get these pizzas on a Monday, and we haven't got them today. It's obvious that you're angry with us. That's why you haven't ordered them, but we don't know why. We don't feel you're communicating. There's the lack of transparency thing right away, right? There's a suspicion of management thing. It's all of that. It's amazing what people will extrapolate. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I said to them, guys, can you just grow up for a second? I mean, seriously. The reason you haven't got pizzas is because the receptionist isn't here. She hasn't ordered them. If you want pizzas, you're welcome to have them, but somebody's going to have to actually take an action here. And with that, there was suddenly like, oh, okay, there was suddenly somebody found the credit card, somebody ordered the pizzas, and everything was fine again. But it was astonishing to me. I walked out of that room and I couldn't get over the impact, the way in which people read things into it when you're trying to do something nice and you do something nice and then you stop doing it. What they see is not, oh, well, maybe something's going on, maybe there's something we should be able to, or something we should offer to help with or anything like that. What they see is you're doing it deliberately. And if you haven't specifically told them why, then you're not being transparent. The impact of stopping doing it is worse than never doing it in the first place. Which sounds like a really silly, petty thing, but if you're struggling with this kind of thing, I guarantee you, if you've tried to do something really nice for people and you've done it for 2 or 3 months and then you just kind of stop doing it because it's not really working, stopping doing it was your problem. That was your mistake. There are two ways around this, okay? The first one is don't do anything that you can't perpetuate. Don't do it unless you can continue it forever. I mean, even pizzas on a Monday is a relatively easy thing to do, but it turns out that if there's a speed wobble anywhere along the line, it'll turn into chaos. So you need to be very, very careful that if you're going to do something, you do things that you can perpetuate, that you keep on doing. If you can't, don't do them at all. Or make sure everybody knows it's for short term. Make sure everybody knows it's only going to be for a few months. Make sure everybody knows, in effect, you don't do anything at all for more than like 12 weeks. So that at the end of it, everybody knows, well, it was coming to an end anyway, it was nice while it lasted. That's a more complex thing to manage, but at least you got the expectations set correctly. Because otherwise you set yourself up for all sorts of frustrations. And the conundrum that my client was facing, very simply, was that these are really nice people trying to do really nice things, and they don't understand why when they do nice things, they don't really get the same impact, and so they stop doing them, and then everybody's even more upset, and they just couldn't work out what it was. And so that's kind of been my big revelation for this week. I saw a conundrum that had set me on the path to try to understand culture come to life once again in somebody else's business, and it wasn't a very pleasant experience. It wasn't a very pleasant thing to see. Anyway, we've kind of resolved that, I hope, or we'll see over time whether we actually have or we haven't. But it's been food for thought for me all week, and I hope it's been food for thought for you as well. And I wish you a really, really good week.